Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from Skill Builder, and this week I want to talk to you about ladder safety. Now, I don't want to bring the party down, but a couple of weeks ago I was working somewhere and a guy fell off the ladder, hit his head and died. And it was a bit of a shock for all of us, a bit of a wake-up call. And it just made me think about it. What made it even worse is that he fell from such a stupid height. It was no more than 2 meters, fell onto a bit of concrete. So it just proves it's not the falling, it's the landing that kills you. But we all need to take care. And I think that when you think you're safe, you're really at the most danger. I mean, if you're going 3 stories up on a triple extension rope operated thing, you might take all kinds of precautions. But when you're just nipping up 1 floor just to take some leaves out of a gutter or something like that, you don't bother to secure the ladder. You don't bother to do that. You actually just nip up there thinking it's a 2-minute job, and that's where disaster can strike. So I just want to run through a few tips for you, a few things that I think that you should take care of, we should all take care of, just to make sure that we improve our chances. Because quite honestly, as I said, that incident the other week made me think about it. He left a wife, 2 children, and it wasn't good to see. So my first tip is don't over climb on a ladder. Even a step ladder like this, if you fell off it, you could end up with a couple of weeks off work. So the fact it's got treads going all the way up there doesn't mean you've got to use them. Always leave yourself something to hang on to. If you're going to climb higher on there, you obviously need something high up that's steady and secure that you can hang on to. But what you don't want to be doing is standing on the top rung of this ladder like a circus acrobat. So this is just the kind of situation which led to my friend's death, and you'd never imagine that such an innocent fall could have such terrible consequences. So it's worth checking out. The first thing is I never ever put a ladder against a plastic gutter. One of the reasons is it can damage a plastic gutter. Then you've got another job on your hands. But the ladder is also liable to slip. So I've got a little tip to show you to avoid that. The other thing is that this ladder is on sloping ground. And sometimes what we do is we stick a chock underneath, a bit of wood or a slate or tile or whatever to try and level it up. But this ladder has also got leveling feet built into it. So that's from ladder safety devices, and that's a great little thing to have on a ladder. I've had this ladder for years, and the number of times that's come in handy, I can't even count. So remember, there is never a justification for putting a ladder against a plastic gutter, or any kind of gutter for that matter. Now when you're using a ladder up high, one of the dangers is that if you overreach, the ladder will slide one way or the other. Actually, I found out some years ago, it doesn't quite happen like that. I carried out some tests in association with ladder safety devices down in Lewes in Sussex, and I went up a rig and I tried to destabilize the ladder by reaching over. I was tethered to a safety harness, and what I found is that actually it's not so much that the ladder slides sideways, it's that the ladder does a 180-degree flip. So when you're on the side of it and you're reaching out there, what it does is it turns the ladder over and you fall to the ground. And the chances are that you don't know what's happened, because you just wake up on the ground if you're lucky, and you just fallen off the ladder, and the ladder's also lying on the ground. So it's important that you avoid that tendency for the ladder to flip round in 180 degrees. Some people solve that by sticking a fat bloke on the bottom of a ladder, but I don't like that, because in my experience, guys sitting footing the ladder tend to look at pretty girls walking past. They get on their phone, they're texting their mates. I've even had one who was smoking a joint. So I don't reckon they've got my best interests at heart. So I look round for something else. A good old sandbag on the bottom is better than nothing, but actually ladder safety devices develop these stays for the side of a ladder, these are so effective that when we fitted these stays to the ladder, and I tried that experiment again of reaching out, and I was really trying to twist the ladder around to make it fall or go one side or another, and in the end I ended up bending the guy's ladder, and he wasn't too pleased about that. But it proved that these devices here work like nothing else. They really are super good at doing that job. So if there's a choice between having a bloke sitting on the bottom or having these, I'd have these every day. Now, I always think that putting up ladders is instinctive. You kind of know when you've got them at the right pitch. But I see an awful lot of people with ladders which are pitched too steeply or too far out. And of course, if it's too far out, it's got a tendency to kick away at the bottom. So what they helpfully do on ladders these days is they put a little symbol of some sort on the side. Here are the instructions, and that tells you that that should be vertical, that should be upright. And when that symbol is upright, that means the ladder is at the right pitch. So that's the ladder with the stabilising feet out, and it's pitched at the right angle. I've got the ladder stay on the top, and I'm fairly sure that it's secure. I say fairly sure. What they recommend is that you tie the ladder at the top, but the one flaw in that is you've got to climb the ladder in order to tie it at the top. But if you can, it's a good idea, get a couple of vine eyes into something secure at the top and tie it. In fact, anything you can do in any way to stop the ladder moving, to stop it slipping, is going to be a good thing. There's no such thing as too much. So once we accept that you get the ladder safe and you get it secure before you even step foot on it, the next thing we've got to look at is what do you do with a ladder? Now, there's a bit of a myth that people aren't allowed to work from ladders anymore, that they have to have scaffolding and towers and all kinds of other things. Not quite true. If the job is of a short duration and you can work safely from a ladder, your risk assessment is that you can actually work safely from a ladder, then you can still use a ladder. But what is safely? This is the big question. Well, safely for a lot of people means that you've got to have 3 points of contact with the ladder. So you've got your 2 feet and 1 hand, which means you've only got 1 hand left to do the job. So if, for example, you were up a ladder and you were trying to do drilling or something like that, that wouldn't be acceptable according to the health and safety executive. And that's, of course, we're talking in the UK at the moment. So many years ago, probably 20 years ago now, I came across a device, a lonely guy sitting at a trade show, and he had invented what he called the ladder seat. I looked at this, I thought it was such a good product that I bought one, and I don't think he sold 5 in the whole day. And it isn't because it's not a good invention, it's because he wasn't particularly good at marketing it. And sadly, I don't know what's happened to him now, but I've never seen one of these around, but I've been really glad I bought this. And I keep trying to persuade manufacturers to start producing it, because as far as I know, there's no patents on it. So help yourself. But the idea is, you put the ladder seat onto the rungs. Now, okay, you're looking at it thinking, rings alarm bells there. But actually, I've been using this for years. It's absolutely solid as a rock. So set your ladder up securely, make sure it's tied up, make sure that it's not going to move in any way. Set your ladder seat up, and then you're there. 2 hands free. We've still got our 3 points of contact with the ladder, our 2 feet and our backside sitting there. And we've got a ladder secure. We've got a working position that is so comfortable, sometimes I think I could even go to sleep on it. But it is perfect for doing all kinds of maintenance jobs. So if somebody would like to start manufacturing that again, I don't know why I'm not doing it myself really, but great device, great idea. And the ladder seat, you'll never find another one. If you've got one of these, you and me, we're in a rare club. So that's it, that's my final little offering. Make sure that ladder's secure. Do nothing in a hurry and use every device that you possibly can to make sure that the ladder's secure and it doesn't move. Make sure it's on firm ground as well and that it's not going to kick out. If you use ropes to tie it or anything else you can find, it all helps. So I'm Roger Bisbee, thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that useful. I'd really like it to save somebody's life if possible, but maybe that's asking too much. But be safe out there and come back and see us soon.